Hello, people online. How are you? Gonna wait a little bit, make sure everybody's getting on there. I'm playing a really cool guitar today. I've played this before. Hey Jenny, I see you. How are you? There's Cynthia. Who else do we have? Dave. Okay, Roxanne. Who else? I can't read that name. Alexis, how are you? Who else? Some of the names are hard to read. Hey, Denny, how are you? So a lot of the people I know at first. Renee, hello. Cynthia, hi to you too. And then Mike. Okay, now, sorry, I have to look in. Again, no contacts. Okay, hey, Nick, how are you? Hello. Roxana, yes. Diane, hello, how are you? And Jenny again, hello. So Ken Hutchinson, hello. And Jorge, hello. All right. Now, I thought this lesson today should be something that relates more to you. I mean, I know every lesson does. But I'd like to answer some of your questions because, I average, 800,000 questions or more and comments. So it's very, very difficult to answer everybody's. Now also too, okay, there we go. Yeah, be safe. I know it's been crazy out there. How am I? I'm doing good. Now, does anyone have any questions? I'm playing, like I said, a really cool guitar. This is the ES series from Sawtooth. This guitar is really inexpensive. Okay, gonna ask how. Wow, these questions are flying. Waiting patiently in full shred position. Hello from Italy. Hi, Mike. Okay, what about some questions? Throw some questions at me. Hey, Joe, how are you? It's nice to see you. How are you doing? Well, that's a good question. I feel great! Okay, let's see. Hello from Texas. I love Texas. Yes, Texas rocks. Okay, anyway, well, if you don't have any questions, Joey's going to ask. This is how Joey came about. When there's no questions, you're here. Hey, I'm going to ask some questions if you don't have no questions. So if somebody got any questions, anything. Okay, now listen, you play really fast, but how do you get that kind of speed? Now, I know because I'm your hand, so I do all this stuff, but how do you do this? How? Now, that's a very good question, and I'm glad. Okay, wait, how did you come up? What was that? Okay, wait, I have to look close. The eyes, okay. What is the hardest thing you have ever learned? To keep my mouth shut! And I still haven't mastered that one. But really, the hardest thing that I ever learned is to, it's not about guitar, but I think that's what you mean. I mean, all my songs are hard, I mean, even No Boundaries is hard, and that's not one of my hardest songs. But one of the things that I've learned that was hardest to learn is actually in my life to say no. No, I'm not going to do this. No, I don't need this. No, it's not for me. Because a lot of people in life go through situations where they don't want to do something, but because they feel like they don't want to hurt the other person, or they just don't want to cause a negative situation, they will say yes when they mean no. And really, that's the hardest thing. I mean, when it comes to music, hey, Adam, how are you? I've known Adam a long time. But when it comes to music, I literally just take it, like in sports, a measure at a time. I mean, just like Now I'm playing through a really cool guitar, really cool amp. This is the ES series by Sawtooth, a very inexpensive guitar. And I'm playing a 25-watt amp with this reverb. I played through this before on these online lessons. It sounds like a delay, like a slapback. I love the sound of this amp. And I want to play clean today because I want to go over some of the things, even if you don't ask me questions. I want to go over the question that Joey asked, which is, about speed. How was I able to do this? See, I was born fast. I'm left-handed, which is why Joey is on the left hand. See, Robert's on the right hand. He never talks. All he does is pick. His job is to just keep it moving. And Joey's job is to be the flamboyant guy. So anyway, now people called him Bob, but he doesn't go by Bob, it's Robert. But what I did, anyway, getting back to the picking part of it and getting back to the playing, I was a legato guitar player growing up. Everything. This is a riff I figured out when I was a kid. I went, and I liked it because I didn't know until later, but it goes minor to major. And I used to do just hammers and pulls all the time. And then when I saw guitarists like Al Di Meola and Robert Fripp, and I started studying jazz, I didn't understand jazz at first. I knew the chords, but I didn't understand that they did. I didn't understand that they picked every note a lot. And so what I did was I started just working on that. And I said this before, I just worked on it over and over and over and over and over and over and over. Okay, yeah, keys to the Lambo. I really wish there was an easy way that everybody, okay, wait, how do you stop your plectrums from getting hotter than the sun? Because I use these new ChromaCast ones. Let me play it, push it up, show you up close. Watch. These are 1.3. Now we've changed the logo on here. What's my favorite exercise to increase pinky? See, this is a 1.3 millimeter Delrin pick. Now I had one brand new because once I start to play them, all guitar picks start to kind of form around my hand. I play really hard. One of the things that I do to increase dexterity with my pinky, I use my pinky a lot. Like when I'm vibratoing, like. I use it all the time. I do simple exercises. Literally to go like. But look at the technique. Look at how close. Now, I don't have the string dampener on, and listen to how clean it is. And also this. I play slow to medium speed, and I do these exercises. A lot of times I'll play them on acoustic guitar, but I'll do it with a clean guitar sound. Sometimes I use a distortion electric. But when somebody says, well, how do you work on exercises for your pinky? Work on exercises for your pinky. It's like, it hurts when I do this. Well, then don't do it. So how do I work on exercises for my index finger? Well, use an exercise that uses your index finger. Now, I don't mean to belittle the question, but what I'm saying is that the obvious is the best way to go. And in my programs, I say this every week, but I have 13 instructional programs from Metal Method, and we have a really, really cool package. Somebody asked me last week if we had like a DVD box set, and I got sent this from Metal Method. Yes, we do. And so if you go to metalmethod.com, every exercise that you can possibly imagine that can help you to be a better guitar player is on these. This is like a bad setup here. In a good way. But it's just, now you can download it too, but it's DVD after DVD after DVD. 13 instructional programs I have total. I have jam tracks, but what I do is I do the simple things, and it gets redundant to say this meaning over and over, but it's like I've said a million times, even in French. Like écoutez et répétez. Listen, repeat. Listen, repeat. That's how I learned French. Quelle heure est-il? Je m'appelle Michel. That's how I learned how to speak basic French. Repetition. You know, je m'appelle Michel. Je m'appelle Michel. And then accent grave, accent aigu. You know, I learned things by repetition. It's the same on guitar. Now, especially with a sound like this, I'll put the dampener on. I mean, this guitar's the real deal. I have, right now, you know, when I was online with Herman Lee a few weeks ago, he has a lot of guitars. I only beat him by maybe 5 or 10. We have a very similar number, but I'm up to over 170 right now. And I have to say, I've got a lot of old Strats, and I've A-B'd this Sawtooth against it. And see, I love vintage guitars, and I love the idea that a Joe Bonamassa would play vintage guitars, and I think it's great. I have a bunch of them. But I don't necessarily subscribe to the theory or the belief that vintage guitars are so much better than modern guitars. In fact, I think the opposite. I think modern guitars play and sound better than vintage guitars. Vintage guitars, to me, are to be played, yes, but they're more like pieces of art. I don't know. I like to look at them. Don't play it, just look at it. You know, it's kind of like in Spinal Tap. Don't even look at it. You know, this is the only double guitar ever made by Gibson. Don't even look at it. I mean, the glow could kill you. The absolute presence and awesomeness and the power and majesty can kill you. So we don't look at that one. You know, I kind of look at it like that. You know, it's like artwork to me, and I love art. I absolutely do. But when I play guitars live, I want to play them and beat the heck out of them and show them no mercy. And so, and you know, I did ask Joe a really cool thing. You know, I said, well, aren't you worried, you know, sorry, I'm a tuning fanatic here. Aren't you worried, you know, that one of your guitars would get stolen? I mean, you know, 59 Les Paul Burst, that's worth hundreds of thousands, you know, 6 digits, you know, meaning in hundreds of thousands. And he said the smartest thing really he could say, that well, you know, these guitars are documented. Where are they going to sell it? You know, because as soon as somebody puts that on the market, they would know right away. And so that's very true. It's kind of like putting a Mona Lisa on the market, or like a Toulouse-Lautrec or a Remington painting. You know, I mean, immediately Jackson Pollock. Okay, let's see. I'm still waiting for my MAB. Now, let me tell you what happens. A lot of people have been asking me about this. I'm still waiting for my new guitar. 1, COVID. 2, COVID. Divisible, that's 2 plus 2 is metal 4 minus metal 1. Metal 3, COVID. It's held things up. We thought the world would be open by now. The ship got held up, but instead of August, it will be in September. And I spend a lot of time in California. You know, I lived in California for a long time. I'm going to be out there next week for pretty much the entire month of September, and we are going through the whole shipment of guitars. I'll be autographing a bunch of things, and we're also doing something really amazing. Let's see. Yeah, we have good. Okay, I love guitars. I'm just telling you. Now we added ST, you know, because we call it the M24, and in the front it's the ST M24. And let's see. Somebody else is writing me here. Okay. But it's the STM24, but I'm just telling everybody here, they are fantastic guitars. And we have a bunch of new signatures coming in. We're actually doing a limited edition double guitar. We're only going to run 50 pieces of the double. And it's going to look like the one that you see here, the kind of two-telly look. It's going to be amazing. And that's probably the best constructed double guitar I've had in a long time, in years. It really is that good. And so if you can bear with us, we're not talking months, we're talking weeks. The shipment got delayed just because we cannot control this COVID thing. We just can't. You know what? I should be on tour right now. I was watching Al Di Meola, you know, and not talking to him. I don't really know him that well. I've only met him once, but he was talking about how 3 tours have been canceled this year for him. Same with me, 3. And so, you know, and shipments are late, things are late, but we're only talking about a couple weeks. We're not talking about months, but you will not be disappointed. Now, we're doing something really cool. We are doing what everybody has asked. I know you guys are shooting a lot of questions here. I want to talk about one thing, and then I'll get back to this. We are doing what everybody asked. There are 3 main endorsees, and also Sawtooth signed a really fantastic young band called Lilac. They've got a huge following online. They've been on national television before, and they're all brothers and sisters. So the oldest member of the band, I think, is the guitar player. That's 21. Singer's 18. I think their brother, the bass player, is like 12 or 13. I mean, it's really, and they're incredible. They're fantastic. And Lilac has something to do with Nosferatu, like vampire stuff, which I really like anyway. You see why I'm so well preserved? There's no contacts in there, I swear to God. I don't use contacts to color my eyes. My eyes are blue. You know why I'm well preserved? I'm a vampire. I don't go out during the day. See my studio here? There's no windows! I could be here at 3 in the morning, or 10 a.m. in the morning, or 11 o'clock at night. It all looks the same to me down here. I don't like the sun. The sun and I are not friends. I don't want to look all wrinkly and show my age. And so that's the thing about vampires. We don't show our age. So anyway, but we're doing this awesome thing with Sawtooth. When I get to LA, we are going to be filming, and then when we take a break, we're going to go back to filming. We're filming the band. Vinny Appice drums. What can you say? He's one of the world's greatest drummers, and he has a few hit songs under his belt. Let's see. Dio, Black Sabbath, his first gig. I don't like to use that word very often, but his first professional situation. John Lennon, he's fairly well known, I think. And so then Rudy Sarzo. Rudy told me a long time ago that lightning struck. 2 + 2 is metal 4, minus metal 1 is metal 3. He said lightning struck 3 times for him in his life. Quiet Riot. Okay, they were the first band to score a #1 album in the metal genre. And of course, Frankie Banelli, their great drummer, passed away. I used to do sessions with Frankie in LA, and he was a really great guy, really great drummer. I really liked him personally as a human too. It's sad loss. So Quiet Riot was his first. Ozzy, second. Whitesnake. Okay, it's not too bad. And plus, he's a phenomenal bass player. He's got the look. He's got everything. I mean, he plays with everybody from Steve Vai and Yngwie to Ronnie James Dio. He was also in a version of Dio, too. So it's going to be Rudy, myself, Vinny Appice, Rudy Sarzo bass, and then we're going to use Melody, the young singer from Lilac. She's 18 years old, and I would say musically, she's an old soul. She just breathes rock. So if you go listen to the band Lilac, I mean, and that's what I love about Sawtooth. They've got the best of established people, and they sign like literally the next big thing. And I mean, this is a really young band, and they're fantastic. And so we're going to combine all of us and put it together in a show. Okay, now, let's see. Yeah, somebody wrote, her pipes are astounding. Yes. I don't really know her that well. Their father is the manager. He's the one that I know better. But, we're going to all meet. And, obviously I know Rudy and Vinny. I know Vinny really well. I don't know Rudy as well, but we played together before. And he played on my tribute to Randy, the one with the massive millions and millions of views online and on Hands Without Shadow. Okay, Michael, well, God, these questions are just flying by. I actually chill out and listen to music. Somebody asked me that. I was thinking about that this morning. When I was a kid, I used to have to be in high school at 8:05 in the morning. I had an old stereo system that my great uncle gave me, and it was 2 and it sounded amazing. And I saved up my money, and I remember spending $250 on these speakers that sounded real. They were called Klipsch from Germany. They were bad, and it was a really good deal. I got them used, and I hooked up this tube amp, and the one side didn't sound good at first, and I was so young. I was only, I was 14 years old. I didn't understand, and so I had to turn the balance all the way to one side to try and equal them out. And then one day I'm in the back room. I just happened to fidget with it, and I realized it was a cable. And all of a sudden, and I was balancing it like normal. And I remember listening to, I used to listen to Hendrix. I used to listen to Jethro Tull. And I remember like, hey, Aqualung. I used to listen to music, and I would get up early, so I had 30 minutes, a half an hour, to just listen to music in the morning, and that's what I did. I was just fascinated by the sounds, and I was so young. I'd already been playing guitar 4 years, and I'd been playing piano, but I kind of, my ear was great. I have to admit, I had a really good ear, and I could, I knew. I've actually really never played that song, but I hear it. And so, but I love to listen to music. As I've gotten older, I'm from this generation of listeners now. I almost always listen to music with headphones on, and I listen to it myself. See, but when we were kids, I had a stereo system, so we could all come over and just listen to tunes and like go, wow, that's like rad. Do you like we would hear Rush, we'd be like 2112, or we would hear Yes, or we would hear all these different bands and go, wow, that's cool. And so we would listen, as a group. And then, but in this day and age, we listen, in like our own world. But what I did recently in my house, and you guys that have seen me, my house, I've showed it off a little bit. I put a big stereo system in the den of my house, and I have right over here. It's hard to see. That's a early 1980s turntable with a diamond stylus, and I bought a second diamond stylus way back in the day, and so I've got the ultimate analog system. And I keep that down. I use a newer turntable upstairs because the newer ones have more power. The old ones, you really need a lot of power to generate it, and you need a special amplifier that's dedicated to a phonograph. It's like an extra power supply, literally. So I've got this really cool setup upstairs, and because I'm in my studio now, and so to answer the question a long way, yes. And I've been listening, I love to listen to new guitar players and, Polyphia, I even like the latest Dragon Force. I listen to a lot of guitar playing, but I also find I listen to a lot of orchestral music. I'll listen to Paganini. I like to listen to the 24 Caprices by Elliot Fisk. I like to listen to Vivaldi. I like a lot of things. Schoenberg. Mozart's my all-time favorite. I like to listen to Beethoven symphonies. I listen to like Mozart's The Hafner Symphony. So I listen to a lot of things. And then I also like new rock too. Some of the, they call it active rock now. But, there's some really cool bands out there. And like Liliac being one of them. They're great. Okay, so anyway, I'm playing the ES series. This Strat it's super light too, man. I mean, I'm a tall guy, but I'm not a big guy. My bones are not like Arnold Schwarzenegger. No, you're not. See? And so Joey can attest to that because he's attached to a bicep that is not exactly gonna lift like The Rock. And so, but it's strong enough to do all this. Work, Joey. Work. Shut up. Work. But I love the sound of this amp too. That, like for example, if you want to do. Some people might say, that's not metal, so we go. Die! Die! I always have to get the die in. That's my death metal word. You put die in a song, you're guaranteed headbangers will rock to it. So anyway, but I love the sound of this amp, this guitar. It's got a maple neck. It's just really cool. And again, I don't subscribe to the theory that just because something's old or just because something's new and expensive that it's any good. I don't. I think that old has to be good, and I think new, it just depends on how it's built, what the parts are, and price is something that's relative. You know, what some person thinks is expensive, other people don't. But I can tell you this, the price points of Sawtooth are so reasonable, and you get such a great guitar. And one of the reasons, they're a really big company, and they have really dedicated people to set up the equipment and the guitars. For example, there's a tech there named Robbie. He's just an expert on guitars. And so we can talk about all sorts of things. So whether it's one of the more expensive guitars, like in my signature line, which we're going to bring the price up in some of these guitars, and one of the least expensive, like this ES. One of the guys named Robbie is there overseeing this. He's really fantastic. Okay, now let's see. What do we have? Also, how the person plays. Yes. Okay, Jessica says, I'm great. Thank you. Hi, guys. Okay, now, one of the questions that I get asked all the time is that, you're dealing with, say, an injury, a hand injury, or when you practice, it hurts when I do this. Well, then don't do that. But here's what I said. There are workarounds, and what you need to do is Joe Weider they consider him the father of bodybuilding, and in many ways music resembles athletics. Not that you want to make music an Olympic sport, but music resembles athletics in one way. And this is, Joe Weider is the one that really brought Arnold Schwarzenegger here into prominence. He saw this diamond in the rough that was very early in life, a highly polished diamond. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Schwarzenegger was a millionaire by the time he was like 21 or 22 because he was so fantastic. His physique, even today, you just look at it, you go, wow. And it's partly genetics, but it's partly people like Joe Weider that instilled what the best of the best, and being from California, training in California. But the reason I'm saying this is there were a bunch of Weider principles, but there is one that I live by. And it's the reason that I'm the age that I'm at, that I can play at the level that I can play, and then I'm not all wrinkly and look bad too. It's know your own body. See, this is something that, I always wonder, this is kind of like the world according to Mikey here. Tell him, Mikey, tell him. See, Joey likes this one too. I've always gone for it. And I've said this over and over. I have lived 10 lifetimes. When somebody talks about the Mona Lisa, I've seen it twice. When somebody talks about the island of Borneo, Indonesia, I've been there. When someone talks about Russia, Moscow, the Kremlin, the Red Square, been there 4 times. When somebody talks about the Andes Mountains, I've been there. When somebody talks about the Alps, I was in Pilatus. That's the highest point, the highest peak of the Alps and all of Europe. I have been all over this planet. The only thing that I wouldn't do is climb the Himalayas when I was in Nepal. I can think of a lot of ways to die, but that's not one of them. And so, I'm not going to bungee jump off the Golden Gate Bridge either. What if the cord is a little too long? Splat! I'm ocean pizza. Not going to happen. And so, and a good friend of mine, Max Carlisle, is a pilot now. He flies small planes. No way. I've got, we're real close friends. Even he's not asked me yet, but if he does, no, niet, nada. I will not go. I don't want to be a statistic like Randy Rhoads or Buddy Holly or, anybody else who's been in a small plane. I've been in plenty of planes before. I have 1.2 million miles with the United. But one of the things, this is the world according to Mikey, about knowing your own body and understanding that, as far as we know, this is not a religious thing. We have got one go around. I mean, if you believe in reincarnation, whatever you believe, I'm not here to tell anybody anything. And as you know, I'm not a politician. I'm not, I'm not trying to preach anything to you. But I go for it. When I see an opportunity, I think about, is this good? Does this make sense? Is it going to show me something? Is it? And a lot of people are reluctant and to change, but I've had to change. I've had to change my entire life just in the last 3 years, from the people I work with to my family's gone. I've got my brother-in-law and my nephew. That's all that's left of my immediate family. Luckily, I've got my 3 first cousins that were super close. And in fact, my cousin Gary is its birthday today. But, I have, a very small family now, and there's a lot of empty seats at the dinner table. And so, but what I do is I was the one traveling all over the world, but when we had a family reunion, I made it. I was the guy that if I could do it, I would do it. And I never look back, because I never wanted to be one of these people that said, would have, should have, could have. Oh, Dad, I wish I would have spent more time with you when you were alive. Mom, I wish I would have been there, but I was there. And not 100%, nobody's 100%, but I was there when my sister passed away. I was there when my dad passed away. And I came to the hospital minutes after my mom passed away. So one thing that's going to kind of haunt me for the rest of my life, that I wasn't there. And I lived really close to the hospital. I was just beat. I was beat up. I'm dealing with insurance. I had shows. I remember laying on my couch in my house going, I'm just wiped out. And I went to the hospital late to go see my mom, and my phone rang right when I walked into the hospital, and I saw it was the hospital number. I was like, oh man, I knew it. But I also thought too, the women in hospice said, well, sometimes people don't want anybody around when they pass away. That sometimes people have a choice, and I like to think that, but it really made me sad. But it also made me happy, because when I look back, I did a lot of stuff with my mom, and I traveled constantly. I mean, constantly. I traveled 9-10 months a year. And so this is the thing that I'm telling you. The world according to Mikey is this. Think about your life. Go for it. What do you have to lose? If you try something and you fail, you're no worse off, unless maybe, you tried to do something with a sword and it chopped your hand off. Well, that's a little different. But, unless it's something that's going to put your life in jeopardy, what do you have to lose by asking for something? What do you have to lose by doing something? A lot of times, if the outcome isn't desirable, you're no worse off than you were before. But a lot of times, fortune favors the brave. Fortune favors the doers. Fortune favors the thinkers. And so a lot of times it works out. And so, even with myself, the Weeder principle, know your own body. Even with this COVID thing, I really don't care about the politics of it. I don't. I'm older. If I go outside, I just wear a mask. What's the big deal? And so, it's not politics. It's not like I'm against somebody or for somebody. I just figure, why not? What is it going to kill me for 20 minutes to go to the store to wear a mask? And so when it's over, I won't. But I'm healthy. And you know, and I like a little dirt. I mean, you know, I can sleep on floors. I mean, I've been in plane, you know, so many, 1.2 million miles. So this is the thing. And, you know, and when I was talking about like the question about when people say their hand hurts, know your own body. If something hurts, your body's telling you, ah, ah, okay? See, Robert had a dislocated wrist. Now, he won't talk. Can you explain it to us, Robert? He won't talk. Okay, but I will talk for him. Literally, my friend Rob, who was on my show, that played Rob Ross, that played on No Boundaries, a lot of my bigger songs, used to go like this, and it hurt. And I go, it hurts when I do this. And he goes, well, then don't do it. I'm like, he's right. He's right. Don't do it. But here's what happened. I was actually engaged to the same woman twice. Now, I'm not married. I'm single. But I was engaged, and she's a doctor, and we're still really close friends. And so when I did this, she is a specialist, like in sports medicine, and it's called Ayurvedic medicine, Indian medicine, meaning from India. She studied Chinese medicine, Western medicine. She's brilliant. She's really, literally a genius. And we just hit it off. You know, she's really a great human being, seriously great. So anyway, she showed me. She goes, you know, Michael. She goes, your wrist is dislocated. So throughout the entire decade of the 90s and into about the early 2000s, I actually did thousands of shows with a dislocated wrist, and I didn't even know it. And the reason is because I pick very unusual, but it limits the motion on my elbow and it limits the motion on my wrist. It's a very easygoing, ergonomic pick motion, you know, so that just like, see, when I play, let's hear it, let's get it. See my elbow? It's not moving that much. See my wrist? It's not moving that much. See, my wrist doesn't move that much, and my elbow doesn't move that much. So I'm not really putting pressure on this. So I actually played for over about a decade and a half, literally 15 plus years, with a dislocated wrist. And what she did is she actually grabbed my wrist with two thumbs, and I heard, I was like, wow, that was wrist? Yeah, that was Robert's wrist. And so, and Robert's like, and then I was like, wow, I can do this again. See, I couldn't do that. My wrist would only go down about that far. And then it popped out, and then she did it one more time, and it's been perfect. And so the moral of this story, know your own body. This will help you in music. It will help you in life. Because if you wake up with aches and pains, this is another thing that I've learned. You know, I used to work out at Gold's Gym. We had a Gold's Gym endorsement when I was in Nitro. I mean, Jim Gillette, you know, the singer of Nitro, you know, he's a brother to me. We've been friends forever, but he's a really great athlete. I mean, he was in such perfect shape. And we had a fantastic trainer, and we used to work out at the Gold's Gym in Venice Beach. But what I learned was this. If, for example, like my elbow's kind of sore, right? I will sit there like on an airplane and just massage it myself. Or if my knee feels it a little bit, I mean, I'm not 20 years old anymore. And so like if my knee feels it, I will actually go on an elliptical or I'll do something at the gym and grind on the part that hurts, because I know enough of my body that I can discern whether something is serious or not. If something's really serious, or like I tore something, I mean, and I'm in deadly pain, I've never done that, knock on wood. So that's something else. But when you have an ache or you have a pain, and you know, people say, oh, you know, don't work out with weights or it hurts your guitar playing. BS, man. It helps your guitar playing. You're strengthening muscles. You're strengthening tendons. You're strengthening ligaments. You're making yourself powerful. I mean, try lifting 15 pounds of a double guitar. That's like almost 8 kilos, 8 kilograms, playing like this. Lift it up and play stuff. and then flip it upside down. That's like a workout, man. I don't get hurt by that. And then I wear it around my neck. And so these are life lessons. This is why I am who I am. I study the craft of, I look at people, for example, Frank Lloyd Wright, the great architect. He was fantastic up until his dying day. Andre Segovia, the great classical guitar player, was fantastic, and I think he died in his 90s. Tony Bennett is 90 plus years old and can still sing great. Paul Rogers, that sang in Bad Company, Free, and then Queen for a while. I saw him last year play, and we were talking. The guy's amazing. And so it's just like me. I have the skill that I had when I was younger because I know my body. I take care of myself. And, I'm not a big drinker. I'm not a druggie at all. When people say, well, what do you want, man? You've got, energy. I have the energy. I really like what I'm doing, man. It's really cool, man. It's like I used to play music for a living and, travel all over the world and, get paid for it. Pretty cool, man. I've been to China 15 times. I've seen more of China than most Chinese. And so, there you go. Now, okay, I lost my accurate speed when I cut my wrist. I've been playing wrong. If you cut yourself and you lose something, there's two ideas that run through my head. One, you cut something that impedes your ability to play properly. Or two, you cut something maybe that when it healed or that, you didn't practice or you let it heal, which is what you're supposed to do. And that you need to just work out the bugs. And so, in other words, you have to recover from an injury. But again, that's knowing your own body. And knowing your own body, too, is knowing when to go to a doctor. My dad always used to say, son, make sure you have good doctors and good attorneys. I have both. And I have great music attorney, intellectual properties attorney, and I have great doctors. And so, and I don't need special medical care. But when I'm not feeling good and I'm really say to myself, I don't self-diagnose myself. I'm not a doctor, so I don't try to be. And so what I do is I'll go. And I have a guy that does acupuncture. My ex can do acupuncture. I take care of myself. Now, what other questions do we have here? What do you think of tempered frets? Well-tempered tuning is what we use. I'm not sure what you mean by tempered frets. What I know is, where you have the different kinds of, where the fret is angled fan frets, but tempered, that's something I'm not that familiar with. Okay, I lose my accurate speed when I cup my wrist. Maybe you're doing something like playing like this. That's the question. Maybe you're cupping your wrists. That's not a good motion. I don't play like that. I play like this. When I'm playing, my wrist is very see, it moves like this. That's the way a human wrist moves. A lot of people move this way. But for example, let's get that. And so, see, my wrist moves like a human wrist's supposed to move, this way. And so the most severe angle it is here. But if you cup your wrist and do this, that's not going to help. It's going to not feel good for you. Okay, let's see. And keep the positive coming. That's another thing too. I think of life, and I got this from Napoleon Hill in Think and Grow Rich. Think of your world like a coin, and your attitude like a coin. On one side it's positive, on the other side it's negative. There's no gray, and you're not kind of positive. Well, I kind of feel like kind of positive. I'm kind of negative today, I kind of want to kill somebody. It doesn't really work like that. You're either one or the other. And so what I do is not everybody's in a good room. And remember, I've said this before, being a perfectionist is a disease. It's a disease paralysis through analysis. Any perfection's not attainable. It is not. There's always going to be imperfection. All you need to do is set the bar, meaning set the level at a certain level. So as you go higher than that, be happy. I don't play perfect all the time. Now, it sounds like it to a lot of people. But I look back and go, oh, I could have played that better. No matter what I play, I always think I could have done it better. And so, but I've learned to live with it. And that's the thing. But when you have things that bother you, you have to look at your life like this. Are you positive about this situation or negative? And if you think about it, it's black and white. There's no gray in this. The coin doesn't sit there when you flip it and stand on its side. Now, it maybe could, but it's so thin it doesn't. It flips to one side or the other. Which side is it on for you? Now, everybody has things happen, and I really don't like it when people go up to me, oh, I know how you feel. No, you don't. You don't know how I feel. You're not me. How do you know what I feel? You don't. So I don't even go there. I never tell a person, I know how you feel, bro. Or, oh, yeah, man. Yeah, girl, I know how you feel. No, I don't. I'm not you. And so, but I can tell you this. I've had to go through a lot of stuff in my life, a lot. You get to the point, the older you get, the more you're going to see loved ones that pass away before you. That's just life. And so, and you have to deal with it some way. We don't ever get courses on how to deal with our parents passing away, or what happens if your younger sister dies before you. I mean, you can imagine taking a class like how to prepare yourself for when you get old. I mean, we don't do things like that. Every human being on this planet has to learn it for themselves. And so, but what I can tell you is this, what has saved me over the years with my guitar playing, there's so many great young players out there. I mean, they do so many good things. And, the technique is so amazing. But what I say to myself is I am inspired by them, but I'm also inspired to be the best Michelangelo Batio I can be. And what I say to myself when things get really crazy, because it always happens to us where something happens, and then all of a sudden you're like, God, why me? Or why me? Why not you? What makes you think you're so special? And all of a sudden something else happens. You're like, no, not anymore, please. And then the pile of bricks falls on your head. You're like, no, not anymore. And then the garage door shuts on your car. It's like, what else can go wrong? Don't even say that, a lot of things. And so, but what happens is I kind of take an inventory of what I have, and instead of worrying about what I don't have, I'll sit to my back and I'll say, okay, now this situation kind of sucks. All right, it does suck. But how can I work myself out of it? How do I work this out to where the outcome is what I want it to be, which is a successful, positive outcome? And that's where PMA on one side, positive mental attitude, NMA on the other, negative mental attitude. PMA, your life's like a coin. Your attitude's a coin. Flip that coin. Does it come up positive or does it come up negative? If it comes up negative, flip it to positive. Because if things are bad and things are not going right, or you're having problems with the riff on guitar, the riff doesn't change. The situation doesn't change. Your attitude about it is what determines the outcome many times. Because if you look at it and say, this sucks and I give up, you give up. It's over. But if you say, you know what, I'm going to figure this out. I'm gonna make this work for me. And PMA, I always write that down, PMA. I write crazy things like NRG for energy, because, another thing too, I have an abundance of energy, and that doesn't come from just sitting around the house. I'm always trying to find things to do, and I'm always trying to make things to do. Okay, now, let's see. Thank you for the advice. Yeah, I have a thing about advice too. wise men don't need it and fools won't heed it. So when I'm teaching guitar, I never sit there. I tell people based on my experience. This is, however you take this is really up to you, because I don't tell anybody, do as I do, because, I don't want to be a hypocrite, where it comes out to do as I say, not as I do. And so it's, I'm not telling, this is just the world according to Mikey. This is my life. Now, one of the things that I want to talk about, the guitars are shipping soon, the Sawtooth Guitars. I've already talked about, I'm going to be doing a whole bunch of songs with Vinny Appice on drums, Rudy Sarzo on bass, and this young female singer from Liliac named Melody. That's just she's a great, great singer. And so we're going to be doing that while I'm in California. We're also going to be doing clinics. I'm going to be doing the live stream from LA. We're actually going to get Doug Marks, the founder of Metal Method. He's going to be on one of the shows. He's taught more people to play than pretty much Mel Bay. Doug Marks, Metal Method, was the first company to ever put out instructional programs. And he's still my friend. We talk all the time. He's going to be there. Now, also, too, I can't stress enough about Metal Method. 13 instructional programs. How about the jazz progression? One of them. And so you have 24 jazz progressions of doom. Work on them. Get them. One a week. Just go. And then I tell people when you're playing a chord like, for example, this is a minor 11. That's A minor 11. You can play like this too. It's a G7 flatted ninth, and the flatted ninth is in the root. It's pretty wild. Because you can also play it like this. And it resolves so. But you start hearing the sounds, and I play this riff a lot. It's a Charlie Christian riff. Just these are really melodic things, and it's just part of what I've learned in my journey, through music. I mean, when I was a kid, I used to. E minor 9th, A 13th. See the voicing, how beautiful it is? So it keeps that F sharp, because that's the 9th of E minor 9, and it's the 13th of A 13th. So there's a lot of common chords and a lot of common notes. Then you have augmented 11ths. Resolving. So these 24 jazz progressions are amazing. It's one of 13 programs that I have with Metal Method. metalmethod.com. Speed kills, still sells. Because it's every bit as good today as it was when I filmed it. It was right then. The methodology was right, the playing was right, the technique was right then, and it's still right today. That's the thing about music. It lives on. Plus, I was really skinny wearing a Gold's Gym t-shirt. I was like, yeah, I'm bad. I can lift like 10 kilos, man. But I'm really strong, man. And so, but I just loved, when I look back, I'm going, man. And then you hear my voice. Hi, I'm Angelo Batio. Yeah. And then this is like Speed Kills. Yeah. Shut up. Okay. So enough about Metal Method, but we're going to have Doug Marks from Metal Method. We're going to do a show together, one of these live streams, very soon. It's going to be really cool when I'm in California. And Doug, I mean, you know, his basic course alone has just been, it's like Speed Kills. It's the basic course for electric guitar, especially rock. Okay, also too, visit my YouTube page. My YouTube page is blowing up. We did a really cool shred collab a month or two ago with the brilliant young guitarist Andy James, Vinnie Moore, the just legendary Vinnie Moore, and this young, she's 19 now, I think, Kate Devon, this up-and-coming guitarist. She's really cute, and she can play good. But the thing that I really admired about her, I don't really know her. You know, none of us really know her. She contacted all of us. She put it all together. And so, you know, you have to give credit where credit's due. I mean, and I said this in the past. I told her, I said, I can't do this unless you get another named player. So then I get another message from her like a month or so later. Is Andy James okay? I'm like, yeah. And then I said, well, maybe I can talk to Vinnie Moore. And Vinnie was down for it when he found out that Andy was there and me. And you know, I mean, Vinnie's amazing. And we did a really cool collab. And Kate got the song for us. She had a mix. She had the video put together. You know, you have to give a lot of credit to a teenager, you know, to put this together. And so, but I have a new shred collab too. And it's it'll be coming out soon. I wrote the music for this. It's really cool. And I have Bill Hudson. If you don't know his name, he was with Trans-Siberian Orchestra. He's played with Doro. He's been with a lot of big bands. He's got his own band called North Tail. That's really great. And then Gus G. Gus G is Gus G. He's incredible from Greece. He played with Ozzy. Ozzy Osbourne, yes. He was Ozzy's guitarist. And he's got his own band too. And plus he does, you know, his Gus G solo things. He's fantastic. He contributed a solo to this as well. And then we have a person named Jeff Schroeder from a fairly big band named Smashing Pumpkins. And he's part of the Four Horsemen, 2 + 2 is Metal 4 collab. And that should be out soon. And that will be featured on my YouTube page too. I just released a vintage double guitar version, my song Time Traveler. All these lessons that you see here, go to the YouTube page, and we are going to be doing so much content when I get to LA. I can't even wait. Now, I hope that I answer enough. You know I go off on tangents, but I think this is important to you because, you know, I'm not telling you that I'm Mr. Wonderful. I'm not going, look at me, I, me, narcissism, yes, I, me, yes. No, what I say is this. I've been to 58 countries. I've seen more of Switzerland than most Swiss. I've seen more of China than most Chinese. I've been to every single region in Italy, every single region in Germany. I've been to the UK, all 4 countries. And so I've toured all over. I mean, the city of Hull, I've been there. You know, I've seen so much. I've been to Sherwood Forest. Now, unfortunately, it's only the size of a small parking lot now. But I have seen so much of this world, so much. And that it's not me, I don't dictate to you. I just tell you what I see. And so it's up to you to make your own mind. But I am living proof that your skills don't have to deteriorate when you get older, that you don't have to look all wrinkly. I mean, I haven't had plastic surgery. I don't have contacts. And so, but what I did was a simple thing. Like, I used to love to go out in the sun. Like, when I did Speak Hills, one of the reasons I looked so good is I lived in the sun in a tanning salon. And what happened to me was something that scared the heck out of me. I had like this little mole right here, and it wouldn't go away. And I used to go to this doctor to get what I do is facials and chemical peels and stuff. And so, you know, to build collagen in your skin, because that's what keeps you more youthful. And it's not like, hello, I swear to God, I've had nothing done to my face, but you can't, I'm smiling right now. I'm sad. I can't do anything with my face because there's no skin left to move. It's like, no. So, but what I do is get facials. Well, I mean, what's wrong with that? And so, but one time I was getting one, and I do it with a plastic surgeon because they know what they're doing. And this woman, I always usually go to women. I think they know faces better than guys. Call me crazy. So anyway, but this woman goes, I go, what's going on with this thing? She goes, it doesn't look right. And so she removed it, and there was no scar. That's why I go to these plastic surgeons, but not for this, just for facials. And they have the spa there. And so anyway, and I found out it was the most benign form, meaning the most non-cancerous form of skin cancer was cancerous, but it was the most non-lethal form. Freaked me out. Absolutely. I don't go in the sun at all. And I never went in the sun a lot anyway. What I used to do is only tan my face and like the front of my body. So I look like a one-strike candy cane. Like if you saw me from the side, it's like you would see the front of me was bronze and the back of me was pure white. Seriously, I was like, why tan your back? Who's going to see your back? So I would lay in the sun like this. And then, people at the beach would turn over. I'm like, I ain't turning over. How about my face to get tan? When you see Speed Kills, my face is tan. My arms are tan. But if I went like this, I would have had a white stripe because I only tan from the front. But then I did go to a tanning salon to kind of even it out during the Speed Kills. But, it made my eyes even crazier blue. And because it does. That's why bodybuilders bronze up, because that darker pigment to your skin makes your muscles show more. And that's for real. Okay, anyway, I just want to say this. I know that, I've answered a couple of the questions, but I think for this, if you want detailed instruction, get my Metal Method programs, metalmethod.com. They're fantastic. They're production, content, the way I looked, everything's working. But the content and the methodology and the explanations are something that can help you learn. Okay, so metalmethod.com. Go to my YouTube page. It's killer. We've got great shred collabs. I love working with other guitar players. I'm really glad that this youngest generation is so fantastic. And it'll be really fun playing with the singer from Liliac. She's great. And Sawtooth looks for established iconic players like myself, Vinny Appice. It doesn't get bigger than Vinny. He played with Black Sabbath, Ronnie James Dio. All the big hit songs when you hear drums are Vinny. Rudy Sarzo. How much bigger does it get on bass than Rudy? He played with Randy Rhoads. He played with Ozzy. He played with Quiet Riot. He was in the band that had the first #1 album on Billboard, a heavy metal record ever. That was Metal Health by Quiet Riot. Frankie Bonelli played drums on that. These are iconic musicians. And then Sawtooth signs the up-and-coming bad boys and girls. This is a really seriously great band, Liliac. And so, they're doing the right things. They're looking, for the right people, the right bands. And I can't say enough about them. So, but anyway, one last thing too. I have a new record that came out called More Machine Than Man, Rat Pack Records. And we are releasing one of my signature guitars that if it all works out the way we're hoping, I'll see it in a few weeks, I'll see it, I can start doing playthroughs of the record because I want to use a certain guitar for this, and that's all I can say. But my new album, More Machine Than Man, on Rat Pack Records. It's great. Anyway, I want to thank each and every one of you for coming here. Tonight, we're going to be doing other clinics where it's all music, but I just was in the zone today because I've got so much music that's already been released, a brand new record, I've got shred collabs, a lot of things that were released on YouTube, and musical content. I just wanted to do a little bit of the world according to Mikey, but thank you very much. I'm Angelo Batio. Everything is divisible by metal. See ya.